Good afternoon. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HA Network. Tuesday, November 21st. Frank Granito in studio alongside Kevin Coleman. Happy to welcome John Kovac in as well today. We're going to be taking a look at the Thursday slate as the FCX football regular season comes to a close. Final games for a lot of these teams, at least 3 teams playing into the postseason, a potential 4th looking to get there, but about 6 other games we've got to worry about as well this week, gentlemen.
Yeah, we also have to worry about Wednesday night. You got Danbury taking on Richfield. That's a non-Thanksgiving game. That's going to be the night before Thanksgiving, so that's something we can talk about as well. But we got a good slate of games, of course. You know, I think obviously New Canaan and Darien taking the cake, but this is going to be a fun Thanksgiving day.
We're going to have plenty of time tomorrow with New Canaan and Darien, so we'll focus elsewhere today. John, let me ask you this. Where do you want to start? What's a game without state implications you think that'll be an interesting one on Thanksgiving?
Without state implications?
We'll go without state implications to start.
Wilton Trinity intrigues me because it's 2 programs trying to get to that next level. Trinity struggled a little more than we thought. Wilton, a better season than I think some expected. They're right there on the cusp. Do they take the next step, or does Trinity salvage the season with what would be an upset win?
It's going to be a very interesting game. I'm glad. That's actually the first one I had on my list, too, so I'm glad you started there. Trinity coming in 2-7, Wilton 5-4. This game last year, a 30-3 victory for the Warriors. A couple of interesting storylines here. Number one, Trinity, for Coach Donnie Panapata and this squad, they've almost got to be happy to see the light at the end of this tunnel. So banged up, so beaten down right now. We saw them last week, John. They were down to 27 dress players on the roster. It's tough to win a football game against any school, let alone schools that are 2-3 times your size.
You can't. You're just too beat up. You can't sub out guys when they get tired. You can't sub out guys, but when they're banged up a little bit. If they're injured, yes, you're going to sub them out. But if it's just, you've got to know what you can shake off, what you can't. And you really can't compete at the pace that a lot of schools in the FCAC try to play.
And there are 2 schools right now as well that might be trending in opposite directions. This could be the end of a little run here where Wilton was right on the cusp. They're going to lose guys like Harvey Alexander, Will Litton. They could potentially be taking a step back next year. It's going to be very difficult for them to replace a guy like Alexander in the backfield, Kev.
Oh, I mean, he's been a pleasure to watch. We talked a lot about him last year during his junior year. That's when he was really starting to break out. And then this season, he's been a beast as a running back. And you really see that he's one of the big reasons why they move the ball up and down the field. And he's been excellent for the Wilton Warriors. I know, Coach Bruce is really going to miss Harvey next year because not only is he a great player on the field, but just speaking to Coach Cunningham, loves the type of leader he is off the field as well, getting guys rallied up in the locker room, doing great stuff in the community of Wilton as well. So Harvey's going to be missed in that football program. But you're right, I'm curious to see what this Wilton Warrior team does in 2018. Do they take a step back? Do they have guys who are younger who are going to take a leap next year? So it's going to be interesting to see, and I agree with you, John. I want to see if Trinity can keep up with the Wilton Warriors on Thanksgiving Day.
It'll be interesting, too, to see Captain Jack Donano, his final game as a Warrior. He was the lone Wilton player named as a first-team all-selection to the all-conference squad. But Alexander gets a lot of the recognition, John. Jack Donano in between the tackles, in the trenches there. He has really exemplified what you want out of a leader on this football team all season long.
You need a strong front for a guy like Alexander to succeed, given all the runs he does, tackle to tackle. And that's going to be the other interesting place to see. I think they lose a lot up front, as I recall. Do they replace? Is there a crew ready to come up? Or is it kind of trying to find the chemistry?
There's a big core in place to this year's team that's had a huge part in the success these past few years. So there is a lot of rebuilding that's going to be need to be done at Wilton. On the other side, for Trinity Catholic, Coach Panapata has got to be thinking, if I can just get this group to continue to buy in, add maybe 10 more guys to this roster, they're going to have a chance because Sam Pansiero, the junior quarterback, is going to get a lot of experience down the stretch. You got a young Buffona, a young Alfano. There are guys right now, John, that are putting in work who who are going to be back next year and could make an impact. You maybe see Trinity Catholic right back to competing in Class S.
You don't want to think about being shorthanded late in the season as being a blessing, but it could be a blessing in disguise because you have players getting reps who might otherwise not have seen the field in varsity games. And you see with Greenwich how important that is.
Well, let me ask you this, John. It's a pretty simple question. I think we're all going to lean the same way here. Wilton, Trinity, game is at Gaglio Field. Which side are you leaning towards heading into Thanksgiving morning?
I just think Wilton's healthier. I think they are better positioned to grind it out and wear down an undermanned Trinity Catholic team.
You get one more shot here to go with your boy Harvey Alexander. What do you expect from him?
He's going to break out. He's going to have another great Thanksgiving game. I agree with John. I think Trinity's still a little too banged up. Too many guys, sitting out right now who are injured. I'm going to take the Warriors. I think they're going to put up. They're going to win by double digits.
Yeah, I think Wilton rolls in this one. But keep an eye on Trinity. This is going to be a very interesting offseason to see what the Crusaders do. And I would not be shocked, John and Kevin, if we see them right in the middle, maybe at that top echelon of the conference next year. Kev, let's go with your boys, the Ridgefield Tigers. We'll do that Wednesday night game next. They welcome Danbury. A lot of debate over if this is the rivalry that should be being played on Thanksgiving or if it should be Wilton and Ridgefield. The Tigers won that matchup earlier in the year. Now they get their next rival off of Route 7. What are your first thoughts looking at this game?
Well, just to quickly talk about what it should be and what it shouldn't be. On Thanksgiving, it should be Ridgefield-Wilton. Both coaches want it to be that. When we did that game at Tiger Hall a couple weeks ago, talking to Coach Kevin Callahan and Coach Bruce Cunningham, they want this game to be on Thanksgiving Day. And I get it. This is Danbury-Ridgefield is a little bit of a rivalry there, not just in football, but in all sports around the FCIAC. But it really should be Ridgefield-Wilton on Thanksgiving Day. Thanksgiving morning should be, whether it's either at Tiger Hollow or at Jack Kresge Field. I think it should be at either one, or Fujitani, excuse me. I think it should be at one of those fields every year. Make it a tradition. Make it Ridgefield-Wilton. Now, for this game, for Wednesday night, I think Ridgefield just has too much for Danbury. Danbury does play well. I think they start off really well. They come out fast. And we saw that when they played New Canaan. But I think Ridgefield is just hitting on all cylinders. Jackson Mitchell, what a season he's had. Only a junior wide receiver for the Tigers. I like the Tigers in this game. Again, I think they're going to win by double digits.
I got to agree. I think it's Ridgefield's game to win. It has to be anticlimactic for them after making it as far as they did last year, finishing as Class LL runner-up. But it's where they are. I agree and harped on it a lot when we did the Ridgefield-Wilton game. I really think that should be and needs to be the Thanksgiving game. The problem is, then who does Danbury play? You've got these odd, you have 3 Stanford schools, so you have an odd number there. You have an odd number of schools in the conference. There's no real natural rivalry for Danbury. I mean, you could talk about maybe a Greenwich Danbury, but then who's Staples play? Staples Danbury, who
it's got to be Staples Greenwich.
Like I could see Trinity Greenwich being a rivalry. Maybe some of that is because Richie Albanizio is on the staff at Trinity Catholic. Maybe that fades after a couple of years. You're just kind of over a barrel trying to find Thanksgiving Day games for this rivalry week that's been set up. And it's an odd position because we have some rivalries that are steeped in tradition and some that it's just like we're kind of just throwing these teams on the schedule next to each other so that they play on Thanksgiving, and we've lost the FCIAC championship game because of that.
Well, we'll start a scavenger hunt between Danbury and Trinity Catholic, and I'm sure they could find a way to have a rivalry just like Wilton and Ridgefield did. But listen,
that went well.
I think we agree that Ridgefield rolls big in this game. Danbury's still just struggling right now, but this is a Danbury team, John, that had a lot of success for a long time. They are one of the biggest student bodies in the entire state. What is it going to take for this program to get back where they belong? Because there is no reason a school like Danbury should be this down year in and year out.
There's no reason a school that is as dominant as it is in track and field and wrestling should be this down. And I think what you need is to see some of those athletes who compete in track, in the field events, and in wrestling in the fall start to play football. I don't know what the situation is there. You run into at some lacrosse schools, Frank, where athletes play football to get in shape for another sport, which I don't think is the best idea because football is a whole different animal from every other sport. But is that a way that Danbury could build by saying, hey, if you're wrestling, if you're doing track, play football with us so that you're in the weight room, you're getting to compete, and then let's see where we go. Because I think if you could have some of those top flight wrestlers and some of those track athletes and some of those field events guys, you could have a decent football team.
It'll be interesting. Kev, your thoughts on this game before we head to break here?
Danbury Richfield?
Yeah.
I think Richfield's going to roll. I just said they're going to win by double digits. I think Jackson Mitchell, again, is going to have a breakout game. Greg Gatto continues to have a great season. Gatos, what a season he had. All East recognition. Gotta give him some love because grew up right next to him. Also, can I add that Gatos? I gave you lacrosse equipment when you were a little guy. Now you're a stud playing lacrosse. I'd like to take some credit for that, my man.
Keep stealing, little guy. That's great, man. All right, 2 games down, 6 to go. We're back right after this. Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Yeah, Dad.
Kyle, I need you to update the financial statements.
I took care of that yesterday, Dad.
Mac, I need you to get those deals approved.
They're all done, Mr. Miller.
Jeff, I need you to order lunch for the meeting. They can't do a thing without me.
Right now, lease a 2017 Sentra S for only $97 a month.
I'm never going to retire.
Bankwell combines the best personalized service with high-tech banking features for our customers' convenience. We pride ourselves on being a strong community partner. You don't settle for average in anything else you do. Why settle for an average bank? Don't just bank when you can bank well instead. Visit mybankwell.com for more. Manfredi New Canaan is celebrating 3 exceptional years selling Rolex watches and fine jewelry to the Fairfield County community. We appreciate all our loyal clients and look forward to welcoming and helping you discover the perfect gift to celebrate life's most important occasions.
At Galt, we always put you first. As your full-service home heating partner, we provide expert delivery, installation, and maintenance for all your heating needs with knowledgeable, friendly professionals that give you peace of mind 24/7. Galt Family Companies, you first since 1863. At Galt, we always...
Back on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network, looking around the Thanksgiving games here in the FCIAC. Let's jump to Fairfield, the battle for Black Rock, Fairfield Ward, Fairfield Ludlow. John will give you the first shot at this one.
I think Ward is trending in the right direction. I just think they've got the better look right now. Ludlow continuing to struggle. They have 1 win by 1 point. I think it'd be a huge upset if they were to beat Ward on Thanksgiving morning.
How about this question, Kevin? What do you think of this Fairfield Ward team this year if David Summers doesn't transfer to St. Joseph?
They're a completely different team. I think you look at some of those close games that they were up against some good teams. You look at Darien, they caused Darien to turn the ball over in that first half quite a bit. Maybe David Summers throws a couple more touchdowns.
You're talking about a team sitting here at 4-5 right now. No reason they're not 6-3 potentially entering into this game.
I think Ward still, even though they're 4-5, and yes, they lost David Summers to St. Joe's, I still think this is a very well-balanced team. I think offensively and defensively too. I still think on Thanksgiving Day against Ludlow, I know Ludlow just put up 44 points, and that was a tremendous performance. You got to tip the cap.
They gave up 46.
They also gave up 46. But again,
it's to Central.
It's pros and cons here, but again.
That's fair. As much as it's a pro, it might be a con as well, though. You gave up 46 to Bridgeport Central. That's not a knock at Central, because I said week 1 to John, Central will beat Ludlow this year. But 46 points against Bridgeport Central.
I didn't expect it to be that high scoring. I thought that Central had athletes and would find mismatches, and it would be like, the recent history of that rivalry has been a 1-score game either way. It's been a broken play, a late touchdown. I thought it would be something like that. To their credit, the Falcons did come back late. Central had begun to pull away. but they fell short. They turned it over on downs with an opportunity to drive and put themselves where a field goal would have taken the lead. Those are the things you've got to do well to get out of the doldrums that they're in.
All right, we're all going to take Ward in this game. 41-20 was the score last year, so my question for you is 2017 Thanksgiving morning in Fairfield, over under 21 points for the Mustangs?
Over. I'm taking over.
For the Mustangs, yeah, 20 over.
All right.
And I just have to make a point here because I want the Fairfield Giants, which is one of the programs there. They were Pop Warner when I coached for them. They have a team going to Orlando for the national championship.
Oh, that's great.
They just beat a team from Springfield, Massachusetts in the New England Regional 44-0. You see so often
That's feeding into three schools.
These great youth teams, 4.
Yeah.
And then you can add a 5th when you add in St. Joe's.
Yeah,
and you can add in a 6th.
It's tough.
The talent gets so diluted there.
You know what? Listen, this is. You're right. It is completely diluted as talent. But let me say this. This will probably be the last time we talk about Ludlow football this year. I'll be blunt and speak frankly for a minute here. They came into this season expecting a magic pixie dust to have been sprinkled over the program and everything was going to be solved. It takes hard work and a lot of dedication in the offseason to get to where these programs at the top of the conference are, let alone to get to where your rival is. Ludlow needs to look in the mirror at some point in time here, John, and start to really embrace what it takes to be a good football program. We're going to move on. I'm not giving you the comment there. I'm sorry. Let's go to Central. They welcome Harding. This game has been lopsided a little bit over the past few years. Both teams coming in at 2-7 this year, though. Bizarre looking at Harding's schedule and really seeing that 2-7 hop out right at you after how good they've been the past few years. All right. Good thoughts, guys. Who do you like in that one?
I thought he was going to you.
I
don't care. Just someone.
Go ahead.
Well, again, if you look at this game, John, for Central, I think they're just they're more athletic than Harding. I'm going to pick Central on this one. I know a little bit of an awkward silence there, but I'm taking Central over Harding here. But I think this is going to be a much closer game than people think. Both teams coming in with only 2 wins. Central, again, they're an athletic team. They've shown their athleticism against some of the good teams here in the conference. I think Central's going to take this one.
See, I think it's Harding. This is a team that was on the way up when they were moved from the FCAC to the Constitution State Conference. They are a team that fared well, hung with Fairfield Prep in the Southern Connecticut Conference this year. It's a team that's really bought in. I think it's the President's Day.
Yeah, it's a tough 2-7 if there is such a thing, but I agree. I like Harding in that one. Norwalk and McMahon, the battle there. McMahon 1 win on the year. Norwalk's had a good season. They'll look to send a strong senior class off on a high note. They took last year's game 44-6. I think the Bears big again.
I think it's the Bears big again, and I think it's just the continuation of good things that we're going to see for a few years on that side of Norwalk because there's so much youth that's just so good on that Norwalk Bears squad.
I think Norwalk's. I've been impressed with the Bears this year. I mean, look back to that Trinity Catholic game that we did a week ago. I liked what I saw from the offense, too. Kyle Gordon's been extremely impressive as a sophomore quarterback. He's got A.J. Hall, too. This is an impressive team. I really like how they played against Trinity and the rest of the year, too. They've had some nice wins. I know they've had a couple of tough losses as well, but I really do like Norwalk in this game. I think they're just going to be a little too much for McMahon. I know McMahon's at home. Maybe that plays to their advantage a little bit. It's a morning game as well. Tough for teams to get up in the morning, but I'm going to take the Bears.
Stanford and West Hill, the Black Knights 3-6, the Vikings 6-3, looking for what would be an impressive 7-win season. Stanford did take this game last year at 29-6, but it's at West Hill, John, and I'm expecting a heavy dose of Saquon Kelly to tear through that Black Knights front 7.
This is a West Hill team that is disappointed. This is a West Hill team that thought they could get the 8-win season, and then it fell apart when they took on Wilton. This is a West Hill team that wants that 7th win and to hang to that and have that positive to leave the year on. I think they pull out all the stops in this one.
I agree with John. I think the fact that they're sitting right now trying to get motivation, get that 7th win of the year. You got the entire coaching staff trying to motivate this team. They know it's Thanksgiving morning. They have a home game against Stanford, a rival like the Black Knights. I think West Hill is going to come out and be extra motivated, and a lot of emotion is going to be let out for this Vikings team. I'm going to take the Vikings as well.
We saw John Marinelli was named the coach of the year in the conference, John. Frank Marcuccio, a close second.
Yeah, I would say that, because he's taken a team that was a perennial also-ran for recent memory, and he has these kids believing. That's what really comes through to me, is if you watch social media, you follow the stories, you talk to Frank and the other coaches at West Hill, they have these kids buying in. These kids believe we have to work all year round. We have to work hard. We have to hang as a team. And they're doing it. And because they're doing it and not just talking about it, they're playing for a 7th win on Thursday.
And also they have assistant coach of the year as well. Joe DeVellis from West Hill is co-assistant coach of the year. So that's another good award for this West Hill team, along with some good accolades too throughout, first team, second team, and all conference.
He was named the defensive coordinator of the year. We're going to take one more break on Nutmeg Sports. When we get back, though, 2 other games we're going to take a look at, getting ready for Thanksgiving football in the FCAC next on the HAN Network.
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Bay Star and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866.
Whether you're looking for a great test prep program, tutoring to boost your grades, or a blast-off tour with the college of your dreams, C2 Education is here to help. There is nothing one-size-fits-all about our programs. We offer customized tutoring and test prep for each student. Call us today at 203-423-3328.
UK Gourmet is the largest specialty grocer in the area, featuring food from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Over 80 teas to choose from and a brilliant assortment of biscuits to go with them. Over 70 cheeses from grass-fed cows, which makes a smashing difference in taste. The creamiest chocolate you'll ever taste using no artificial colors or preservatives. So say hooray for UK Gourmet, 78 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, or visit ukgourmet.us.
At Rings End, we say it's time to re-love your home. Time to refresh and reinvigorate the way you live. And whether you're redoing something big or small, remember the letters RE stand for Rings End. We're the new model in home remodeling.
All right, back on the HAN Network, Frank Granito with Kevin Coleman, John Kovacs looking at the Thanksgiving schedule for FCAC football. 2 teams now we've got coming up. They have clinched spots in the postseason. Let's start in Class S. St. Joe's 8-1 welcomes their rival Trumbull 3-6 on the season. Remember, this was a similar kind of scenario in this game last year. A lot of people expecting St. Joe's. They had locked up a postseason game, put themselves in a great spot, and Trumbull comes in and rolls 39-7. I don't think that's the case this year, playing at St. Joe's as well.
Tough to do it 2 years in a row, although I have been on teams that have pulled upsets against the same team 2 years in a row.
I agree it's tough to do it 2 years in a row, but let's take a grain of salt. Take this with a grain of salt here, and recognize this is just, no other way to put it, a bad Trumbull football team.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
This is not a good team. They've had a tough year. I think Colton Nicholas has struggled with the offensive line too. He's not getting enough protection, not enough time in the pocket to get rid of the football. I think this is going to be a little too much here. St. Joe's, considering they're also at home, I'm taking St. Joe's. David Summers has been spectacular. Jared Malazzi, we know how good he is. Phil Pesmeg. You can go down the list of how talented this St. Joe's team is this year with a loaded senior class. I'm taking St. Joe's in this one big.
Yeah, I mean, you talk to Trumbull, and they say they're young, they're a year away. There is a lot of youth there. I just think St. Joe's is not. St. Joe's fell short against Trumbull and then fell short in the state final last year. I think those 2 events will push them over the top in this game, and then we'll see how far that carries them in the States.
Well, it'll be interesting, too. A loss would drop them down to the 4th spot in Class S. They probably want to try to avoid Ansonia until the championship if possible.
Yeah.
I just, for what it's worth, Trumbull should never, it's same with Danbury. Trumbull should just never be this bad. I think St. Joe's is doing too many things well right now. They are clicking on all cylinders at the moment. They're going to roll big in this one, in my opinion.
I don't disagree.
All right. The other game you have got coming up on Thanksgiving, Greenwich looking to lock up a home game in the Class Double L playoffs. They travel to their rival Staples. And again, we're back on that question. Staples looks so good week in and week out when they play those teams in the middle to bottom half of the conference, but you get to the top 4 or 5 and they look like the little sisters of the poor. Am I being mean today? I'm sorry. I know it's Thanksgiving week, but I don't think Staples can actually hang with the Cardinals right now.
No, actually, this is the one game you look out through these matchups throughout Thanksgiving. I actually think this is actually going to be a closer game than people think. Now, I could be very wrong. Greenwich could come into Staples and absolutely blow up the Wreckers. They could actually blow them out of their own stadium. Now, I think Greenwich has to be a little careful here considering they're on the road again for a second week in a row. Going to Staples against their rival, it's going to be a hostile environment. I think Greenwich has to be very careful. Gavin Muir has to take care of the football. No turnovers. Again, I want to see them try and attack that secondary again deep for Staples because we've seen Ridgefield do it. We've seen Darien do it against Staples. Can Greenwich do the same thing over the top? That's what I want to see Greenwich do early on, see if they can tack on some early points early. But if they can't and Staples is able to hang around, this is going to be a close game, but I still think Greenwich is going to edge this one out, but Staples is going to keep it very close.
If ever there were a trap game on the calendar this year, John, this would be the one for the Cardinals traveling to Staples.
It really is, and you're looking at a team that they rolled so much early in the season, and their past few games have been a little tighter than people expected. The Xavier game, they pulled away late. A lot of that was blocked punts. I think they do too much well to lose this game, but if you let your attention drift a little bit to, hey, who are we going to play on Tuesday night? Hey, we're going to go undefeated in the FCAC. Staples could certainly find a way to pull it out. I think it's Staples' game, or it's too much to ask Staples.
It's Greenwich's game to lose.
It's Greenwich's game to lose. And I don't see them doing that, but they have to do everything they've been doing well since September.
This is something else we haven't really touched upon, and I'm sure we'll get into it more next week, but Thanksgiving Day, for a couple of these big tradition programs, could be the last game of some storied coaches' careers here. You're talking about a couple of schools that could be making a change for the first time in a long time, and so that is definitely something we'll keep an eye on. Great work today. It's going to be a fun Thanksgiving. We are back tomorrow, a special hour-long FCAC tailgate. We're going to be in studio at 11 o'clock. We've got a lot going on. John and I hit the film room. We'll preview Thanksgiving, give you our thoughts on the Darien-New Canaan matchup, who we think is going to win there. Guys, final thoughts today before we get out of here.
I just want to know, are you bringing the turkey tomorrow?
Absolutely not. Thank you for asking that.
Is Kevin bringing the turkey tomorrow?
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. Boys, great work today. For John Kovacs, Kevin Coleman, I'm Frank Granito. We'll see you next time. Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.